What's up everyone? In this video I'm going to rank every dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm going to rank them on 4 things: the mission leading up to the dungeon, the sage who helps you on the dungeon, the uniqueness of the actual temple, and the final boss. I'll be ranking all of these out of 10 and then find the average to calculate which ones are the best. Just remember that everything in this video is my opinion and not actual fact, and please subscribe because YouTube says that more than 99% of you aren't subscribed. Now let's get into the video. The Water Temple. The mission to get to the Water Temple started off by going to the once great Zora's domain, which is now covered with mud. Then you have to do some quests, find the king, get his scales, and then get to the floating islands using your Zora's armor, and then shoot the king's scale through the teardrop by lining up the stones. And then you go to the bottom of a lake through a whirlpool that side made. Then you have to do a whole underground Ocarina of Time water temple so you can unlock the Wellspring Island. There's a lot in this quest, and some of it's really cool, like the Zora Waterworks and shooting the arrow through the tear, but it was not that memorable, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. The next thing I'll be ranking it on is the Sage, which is Sidon, who is definitely my favorite. His ability is cool. Literally, it cools you down in the heat, and it'll help you sometimes when you miss a flurry rush. But like all the sages, you have to run to them to activate the ability, and running through 10 enemies to get a shield that lasts 1 hit, or is gone as soon as you attack, seems pretty counterproductive. So I'm going to give Sidon a 9 out of 10. The next part is the actual temple. All the puzzles are way too easy, and you don't really need Sidon for anything but initiating the terminals, because you can just use splash fruits to get rid of any mud. So I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. Next I have the final boss. He is just so easy, especially if you have splash fruits. When I saw the trailer, I thought that he was going to be some new form of Malice Molduga, but it's just this guy, so I'm going to give him a 2 out of 10. The total of all the points is 23, or a 5.75 on average. The Fire Temple. To start this quest, you have to go to Goron Village to find that all the people are addicted to marbled rock roast. So you go to find Yunobo, and he starts trying to fight you. Then you have to journey up to Death Mountain. Then you hop in a plane and fight a rock monster while flying the plane around, shooting Yunobo at the rock monster. Then you have to jump in the volcano and traverse through the depths to get to the Fire Temple. 10 out of 10. This one was really cool. Next, the Sage. Yunobo, he's okay. He is not that useful unless you need to clear out a bunch of rocks, but it is cool that you'll be able to shoot him off vehicles, so 6. Next we have the actual temple. It does look pretty cool with the lava everywhere, and if you do it the actual way, it's pretty cool, but you could literally just make a hover bike and cheese the entire thing. 4 out of 10. Next, the final boss. The Marbled Goma is pretty cool, and you just have to use Yunobo to shoot at his legs so you can attack his eye, which makes him pretty much a giant stone talus, so 6 out of 10. In total, it's a 26, or a 6.5 average. The Wind Temple. This is the first one that I did in Tears of the Kingdom. The starting quest. You go on a hunt to find Tulin, and get pointed in different directions until you find him. Then you have to get his bow, and then you have to scale up pillars with Tulin and ascend through blocks, and jump on the sails of Viking ships to get up to the big ship, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Now for Tulin. His spot was the only one that got replaced from Breath of the Wild. The person who helped you get the Divine Beast was Teba, and now he's not the sage, but everyone else who helped you became a sage, which is an interesting choice. Tulin is good because he has a bow which can hit enemies from afar, in the face, which will knock them down, but he will blow all your loot away, and you'll never be able to get him back. So I'm going to give him a 6. Now for the actual temple. This is one of the coolest temples. A giant ship floating from the sky, and you are inside a giant storm cloud. But once you actually finish the quest, and the bad weather goes away, it just looks really cool, with all vibrant colors, and you can see the real contrast of the temple being finished. So I'm going to give this a 9. Next, I have the final boss. When the boss initiated and you get launched up into the sky, it felt really cool, and everything looked awesome, but the actual boss was super easy, like way too easy compared to any of the Blake Ganons, so it's going to get a 6. The total for the Wind Temple is a 28, or on average a 7. The Lightning Temple. First, the mission to get to this temple. You will go to Gerudo Town and find that all the citizens are evacuated and hiding in a shelter. They'll not allow you in, so you have to sneak in, and then you'll find Riju and protect the Kara Kara Bazaar, and then you set up fortifications for protecting Gerudo Town from a Gibdo invasion, which is really cool because you have to set up your defenses for the fight. Then you can go find and illuminate towers, so I'll give it a 9. Next, the Sage Riju. The idea is really cool, that she shoots lightning wherever your arrow lands. The execution of the idea, not so much, because once you start it, you have to charge the lightning range up, and it's just so slow. At the beginning, it will be useful on short range enemies, and at this point, just use a sword, so it will get a 6. Next, the actual dungeon. This is one of the coolest dungeons in the game. It is in the shape of a pyramid, and there are mirror puzzles that you have to do. The overall aesthetic is really cool, so 8 out of 10. Next, the boss. The Queen Gibdo was the hardest boss, and it was good. It was a fun challenge, and not really any of the other bosses offered, so it'll get a 9 out of 10. The final score is a 32 or an 8 on average. The Spirit Temple. I'm going to consider getting the Thunderhead Islands part of the mission to get to the Spirit Temple, and once you start building the construct, you start the actual temple. So you need to get to the Pharaon region and find the charged armor, but then you get to the Thunderhead Island and can't use any metallic gear unless you have the lightning helm. Then you have to get to the mask from the nearest construct. The getting the charged gear part was pretty boring, but going through the Thunderhead Islands was really fun and unique, so 7 out of 10. Next, I have the Sage of Minoru, who is in the form of a construct, which is really cool, because it is the only sage who is not a blue ghost, and that you can ride on and you build it all by yourself, so 10 out of 10. Next, the dungeon, which is getting the parts for the construct, which is really cool. The mask, you have to fly out from the Thunderhead Islands all the way to the depths, and all of the other ones have their own unique puzzles. Then you have to traverse the depths to the final boss, so 9 out of 10. For the final boss, you are in a boxing match with a different construct that Minoru made, and you have to fight it in your construct because the floor is gloom. It'll get an 8, that brings the total to a 34 or an 8.5 average. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and write down what your favorite temples are in Tears of the Kingdom.